How do I get them to the next level? What do I teach them? They're mimicking me, the way I talk, walk, the way I high five. They're doing the same thing. What separates me from them and what separates them from the new upcoming young people? So there has to be in our industry a body of knowledge which elevates our industry. But to elevate the industry, we have to elevate the leader, the instructor.
Thank you for tuning into the show, whether you are watching this on martialartsmedia.com or on YouTube, or listening while on the move on iTunes, Spotify, or Stitcher. This is the Martial Arts Media Business Podcast. My name is George Fourie, and on this show we interview top martial arts school owners, share success stories, share martial arts stories from great martial arts experts, and then we talk about lead generation and marketing strategies in between. So a quick heads up before we jump into the show. I just wanted to make sure that you are already part of our Martial Arts Media business community. It is our free Facebook group where we hang out every day. We talk about lead generation, marketing, and all things martial arts. You can jump in by either clicking a link close to this video or go to martialartsmedia.group. So not martialartsmedia.com, just martialartsmedia.group. That'll take you there. That's the best place for you to go after the show. We are in there every day, and there's a bunch of free resources that we have already uploaded into the group. Things about how to attract the right students, how to increase your sign-up base, how to retain more members, etc. So jump into the show. I will catch you in the group once the show is done. Enjoy. I'll speak to you soon.
Good day, everyone, and welcome to another Martial Arts Media Business Podcast episode. And very special guest that I have with me today, and a return guest. If you recall, episode 57, I had Grandmaster Zulfi Ahmed join us, and that was actually right before the main event in San Diego. That's going back April 2018. And we've spoken a little bit, not the purpose of this chat, because we've got something really important to chat about today. But one thing I really remember, Zulfi, was when I was at the main event, Kiyoshi Fred De Palma's, the main event in San Diego. And after the event, we were both waiting on our flights. You obviously back to Texas and me to Australia. But so we both sat down at the breakfast table and we just had a long chat. And Kiyoshi Fred De Palma hosts an awesome event, but that was the highlight of the event, actually having a conversation with you and just learning from you and your wisdom from the industry. And so I'm really excited to be speaking with you again today. And I think just a quick bit of context. So Master Zulfi has been in the industry for 49 years, founder of Bushy Band International. They have 9 locations in Texas, 3 in Connecticut, multiple in Pakistan as well. And Master Zulfi has earned over 300 martial arts awards, countless credentials. But again, not why we're here today. We are here today because Master Zulfi put together a masterful book that I just received the other day, and I'm about halfway through it. It's called The Science and Secrets of Becoming a Master Martial Arts Instructor. We'll leave details and links where you can actually get this. But I think just to kick things off, Master Zulfi, why did you write this book?
George, first of all, thank you so much for having me on your show, and I really appreciate it. And thank you for your kind words. It was a pleasure, and I remember our conversation at the breakfast time, waiting for the vans to take us to the airport, and it was delightful. And thank you for having the time to spend with me. I've cherished our relationship, distant relationship, and one day I want to go to Australia and share with you more. The main event was a great event, and Kiyoshi is a good friend of mine. And if you've not been to that event, you must go to that event. Back to the book, this is one of my friends asked me, how long did it take you to write this book? And I said, a lifetime. I've been in martial arts. I will be almost 60 years old in March. And I started formal training at age 9 and formal training at 5. In Pakistan, wrestling is a predominant sport. So anyway, going into that. So I asked, he asked me, how long did it take? I told him about lifetime. But actually, this project of writing this book, The Science and Secret, becoming a Master Martial Arts Instructor, started about 7 years ago. And it arose out of a personal need. I was wanting one of my new directors to run a school, and he was not even a black belt at the time. He was a red belt. And we wanted to compile a body of information, instructor training body information that is befitting for an individual to spearhead a school, not just teaching a class for kids, but a whole school. So how do you develop that mindset with the confidence and the authority and the way they act, speak, maturity of a high-level martial artist? So that is when the project started. And what I did was I did my research first. And I have my own experience, lifetime of martial arts training, learning, traveling the world. So I did my research and I called some of the best organizations, top leaders. And I said, do you have any content, any information, a guide, a workbook, a resource where you really are teaching an instructor to become the next level, to become a master instructor? Is there a differentiation? Now, in our industry, we have some fantastic, phenomenal material which develops instructor. There's instructor training galore. You know, everybody now, all schools are at the level where they can develop, instructors, no problem. There's great information out there. Seminars are conducted, workshops are conducted. And we all know that, and we have all learned that. And so my thought was, okay, that's great, but what is the next level? Where is our industry going? How do we develop the next level instructor who turns into the master instructor? So when I did my research, I found out that there's really, truly nothing out there. It's all experiential. That you become your black belt, you're training for X number of years after that, and you have X number of teaching hours, and then you become a master. So now there's a differentiation between a master and a master instructor. And in this book, I have outlined the difference between a master and master instructor. So master in the martial arts, you can become a master in the martial arts in different styles, have the criteria, X number of forms, training hours, even teaching hours. And then, at 4th dan, 5th dan, 6th dan, depending on the style and the system, they recognize you as a master martial artist. And they're wonderful, phenomenal master martial artists out there. You keep training. That's a personal endeavor, personal pursuit. But to become a master instructor, what do we have to do? Just like we know in our industry that being a black belt does not qualify you to be an instructor. You have to have instructor training. You can't just put a new black belt, and start having them teach. They don't have the mindset. They don't have the communication skills. They don't have the principles, the philosophies, the practices of an instructor. So we develop instructor training. Same thing. When you become a master level and you were an instructor already, and now you become a master in your style and system, does that automatically make you a master instructor? So I don't think so. So what that does is that my master instructor and my instructor, the differentiation between them is only the time they've spent in there. But the body of knowledge, the epistemology, is the same. The master instructor, what I'm calling now, did the instructor's course. Now he's been in it for X number of years, and he's calling himself master instructor. But the body of knowledge, the technique, the principle, philosophies, thought process, the practices, the communication level has not transformed. It's the same. He's also giving the high fives, the 3-time rules, praise, correct praise, all that standard instructor teaching techniques. So when I go, and when a parent is sitting and the parent sees this person is a school owner, he's a AKA, a grandmaster, a master instructor, and then we have a 17-year-old full of energy and vigor and animated, he or she is doing the same type of teaching protocol that the master instructor is doing. They're giving high fives, he's giving high fives, they go 3 times rule, praise, correct, praise. So what differentiates? Yes, they're older in age. Yes, they have 4 more stripes on the belt, but the teaching methodologies, the style, the communication, the terminology, the verbology, the words, all is the same. So how do we separate the maturity level of a master instructor and an instructor? So I started doing the research. I talked to some of the tops. There's some of the best minds, professional minds and martial artists, legends are in this book. And I called them. I said, I want you to contribute to this project. And they were very open-minded. I've got legends, the name, the list galore. And I also interviewed them and I, said, tell me the differentiation. And they have their own personal philosophies, but there was not a standard body of information to elevate the industry. Because another reason was that I feel our industry is stuck. We have a problem. We're not moving. The way we were teaching 20 years ago, we're still teaching the same way. The 15-year-old, when I was 15, what I learned as an instructor training, now I'm almost 60, I'm teaching. No, so how do I evolve myself? What is a structured methodology and a guiding principles, philosophies, and practices, not experiential, not because I'm older, not because I have 5 more days, I can do more katas, but I know by design that I am a more evolved instructor. So when I spoke to people, they say, just take experience. You stay in it for 30 years, you become a master instructor. Okay, yes, you are a brilliant martial artist, you are exceptional, but what about the 20 other black belts who've been training with me for 20 years and I've done the instructor course over and over again? How do I get them to the next level? What do I teach them? They're mimicking me, the way I talk, walk, the way I high five, they're doing the same thing. What separates me from them and what separates them from the new upcoming young people? So there has to be in our industry a body of knowledge which elevates our industry. But to elevate the industry, we have to elevate the leader, the instructor, and they have to start thinking at a different level, more uniquely, more maturely. So what I did with research, with personal experience, with interviews all over the world, this is not limited to United States. I have friends all over the world and high-level master, grandmaster, which you already know, they're in it. My teacher and my other teachers, tell me, what is the separation? How do we evolve? And then I start putting this, about 7-8 years ago, I start putting this body of knowledge together, and I contemplated on it, researched it, observed the master instructor. So when I go to these events, I'm observing the master instructor allegedly, or the instructor, and I want to see the behavioral differences, the pattern differences, the communication style differences. And this is what this book is about. It gives you a outline, a guiding principles, some philosophies, a lot of practices, which an instructor or even the master instructor who thinks they're masters can adapt and make themselves even better. We have amazing, phenomenal teachers, masters, instructors out there. What this book will do is this will make them clearly understand their role and take them even to a greater level. They're already at a high level. How do we take them to the next level? So that is what I want to bring, the body of knowledge, the pedagogy, the epistemology in this book, that it elevates our industry. So when a leader is elevated, what happens is it raises our standards, throughout the industry. And when the industry standard is raised, then we have more people wanting to come into our industry, because now we are teaching at a maturity level. So in my opinion, and just my opinion, the martial arts industry is teaching at a college level right now. Our teaching methodologies, principles, practices, procedures, processes are at a college level standard. We have not evolved to a university standard. And my goal and objective for our industry is to have a contribution. I want to contribute to evolve our standards to get from a college or high school level to a university level. Now, when we have that level, it automatically elevates us. We are the same brotherhood. We are out for the same thing. And when we elevate the industry, we have more people coming into our industry. So that brings success to our profession, into our business. And that also helps us become better instructors so we can go out and really, truly, beyond the physical, beyond the kick and punch, make a true transformational change in the lives of our students. Because how are we shaping their lives for success, for higher growth, higher thinking by way of martial arts? We are not in a temple. We are not in a facility where they're spending their life learning to be a monk, or we have commercial schools where people come in. Now, the reason they will stay is the quality and standard and the maturity of our teaching, not just the physical, but the philosophies, the communication style. And this is not based on personality. There's only one Bill Superfoot Wallace. There's only one Benny the Jet. There's only one Dr. Mong Ji. There's only one, Fred Degerberg. There's only one Buzz Durkin. But how do we reproduce those giants and bring our industry to their level of thinking, maturity, and communication? So my objective with this book is to elevate the standards of teaching. So I hope that helps a little bit.
I love that. I love that you've captured all this knowledge, before it gets lost, so to speak, and you've captured it and you've given a pathway. I want to go back to the college versus university style of teaching, but I want to ask, how would you communicate to an instructor the importance of actually stepping up to a mastery level? For a lot of instructors, they might be, well, I'm an instructor. And now, they pick up a book like this and realize, okay, well, hang on, there's a level that I actually need to progress to. How do you communicate the importance to an instructor to invest in themselves to become a master instructor?
Great question. So it's a process. So I created about 10 years ago in our organization, the Masters University. And I have a workbook which goes with this. So my instructors first read this book, and we have meetings, and then they go through the 16-hour workshop where each chapter, and we dig deep into it and goes through a workbook. So that's the process. But the first thing we have to do is we have to turn their mindset on. Say, hey, you are a great instructor. Just like striving for becoming a black belt, striving for becoming a master black belt. They need to know that there is something more for them. There's a master college or master's university. There's a master's curriculum, master's course that they can learn. And there has to be a differentiation that, yes, wow, this is how I used to think, or this is who I am. And when I become the master instructor, my thinking evolves. I can see in ink that this is the process. This is what I will become. And I can't wait to become that. So first thing is we have to have the body of knowledge, the criteria, the syllabus, and then we have to let them know that there is the next level. You just don't stay in for 20 years and then now you become a master instructor. There is a training, there's a process, there's information that you will need to learn, and then you will be certified and qualified and recognized, accredited to be a master instructor on an academic level, not an experiential level. So yes, so we have a workbook, and my goal is when this pandemic deal goes, that I will open up workshops, whoever like to, we're doing it internally for my organization because that's where the need arose. And now I'm, having open workshops, and I would like to create, the Masters University to the next level where instructors, even master instructors come in and get the knowledge, get the information, and at least know that, wow, there's a difference. There's a difference in thinking. There's a difference in teaching. And if we don't know, we don't know. If the instructor doesn't know there's something out there, how will they want to pursue it? So now there is something out there, and now they can pursue it. They can look forward to it, and there is a solid piece of information, education out there.
I love this. So I want to just quickly go back to the college versus university style of teaching. And it reminded me of a conversation we have in our partners coaching group, where we have a bunch of school owners that we get together on a weekly basis. And when the whole pandemic happened, a big thing that we were discussing was value-based pricing. What I mean by that is when the whole pandemic happened, the vehicle of martial arts disappeared. The physical thing that we love, and everything moved online. But what I felt was missing online was the focus still on the thing that was missing, whereas the focus needs to be a higher level, meaning what is the actual outcome that martial arts delivers? Because if the physical form is gone, how do you still deliver the actual outcome, the community, the everything else that martial arts provides? And that got me thinking when you mentioned university level and college level. How would you feel if all instructors had to step up to university level? How do you feel the outcome would be different to the teaching and what students actually get from their martial arts training?
Excellent. When a student goes to college, they get the fundamentals. High school, they get the start, just like a beginner, intermediate, advanced level. So if you put it in a comparison, beginner level in martial arts up to black belt is high school. Black belt to second, third dan is college. And then above that is university. From the physical technical aspect, up to black belt is, high school, second, third dan is college, third, fourth, fifth dan is, university. So that's the physicality. The maturity level. It is difficult. It'll be hard for me to express in such a short time. That begins with the leadership. That begins with the leaders, the owners' thinking processes. How do they think? How do they act? How do they communicate? And what kind of substance and content they provide and produce? Shallow or deep, wide, broad, wide, long, tall. So the wisdom-based, experiential wisdom, not learned information. So college is information, university is knowledge and experience. So the information we take from high school and build the next level of body of information, the university takes that information, converts into knowledge and wisdom with the culture that they have and the type of teaching, the academia, the type of body of knowledge that they produce. It converts that information, tactical to practical to philosophical. Now, when the instructor and the institution matures, I'm not talking about kick and punch. I'm talking about philosophy. I'm talking about life-changing content. I'm talking about deeper meaning. Let's say from a school who is reciting the student creed, if they have a student creed, taking the student creed to the highest level and how they interject the student creed into their daily life. What other teaching philosophies, what other mental, spiritual guidance we can give to our students based on the martial arts field, that it elevates them beyond learning another kata, beyond learning another choke. Now the thinking, when we have a CEO or an executive comes into our facilities, Yes, they're coming for the physical training. They're learning to defend themselves. But when they find, wow, there's a whole body of knowledge. My instructor is a wise sage, not just an instructor, a drill sergeant. This person is a wise sage, a guru. He or she is guiding me through my life by way of martial arts, not just by way of me memorizing the student creed, but he or she can really dig deep into the life development, my life philosophy, life mastery through the martial arts. So when we say life mastery through the martial arts, my instructor, my master instructor, really truly has the wisdom to communicate with me what is this life mastery through the martial art really is. Is it another kata which I learned, or the principles of bunkai application, or there's a deeper, much deeper, how is he changing my life, my thinking, my spiritual growth? Not making religion, but spiritually, how do I? There are some who do that, and there are few who connect to that, but the majority is not receiving that. The reason why? Because majority of the instructors don't even know their existence of such a body of knowledge. So when we elevate our thinking, when we elevate our understanding of who we are, then we can give more. So my whole objective is to elevate our thinking. And everything starts with your thoughts. Then when the thoughts are elevated as a more evolved, high-level human being or instructor, then the words which come out of our, symbols are the words which come out of our mouth. Those symbols connect to the student at a different frequency. There's a different vibration with those words, beyond the kick and punch and the choke and the throw and the armbar, okay? Beyond the trash him and bash him. So that's why yoga is so far ahead of the martial arts. If you take a comparison, there are millions of people around the world, mature people studying yoga, because yoga provides a higher level of philosophical mindset as well as physical movement. Does the martial arts provide that? Martial arts provides it, but at a shallow level, in my opinion. I'm sure there are some great, philosophical approaches in different systems, but I feel that we still need to evolve. But that's so for you. If you have ever understood the yoga instructor teaching, the guru teaching process, they elevate the yoga instructor's thinking, and they can sit and talk to you about life from a strategic and from a historic point of view, not from a personal point of view. And because they're thinking, they have trained their thinking, and they have history. Yoga can go back thousands of years. Martial arts can go back thousands of years, but what you find in martial arts is killing. It was a battle art. So how do we evolve ourselves? How do we have the people see us more than kick butt machines? We can kick your butt. Oh, karate guy, chop. Oh, I'm scared of you. I want to stay away from that. Isn't that the normal response? Oh, you're a karate guy. Oh, I'm scared of you. I'm not going to mess with you. That's a standard reply from somebody who meets a martial artist. But instead of, I want them to say, wow, I would love to learn from you. But that only comes when we are evolved ourselves. And this is the first step. I don't know it all. I'm learning myself. This is the first step, in my opinion. This is just my opinion. And so we need to grow our thinking and separate it from the instructor to the master instructor. I hope this clarifies. I don't want to go into the different tangent, but I hope this answers the question.
Yes, I love it. It's like what you're really showing here is a way of self-mastery on such a high level, but now how instructor could actually apply that and share that. I want to ask you, because you talk about in the book this whole subject, elevating your thinking, elevating your wisdom and taking it to the next level. And you give a lot of credit to great Grandmaster Gi, head of the American Bando Association,
yes,
for helping you step up to that
Oh,
next
yes.
level. If I can ask, in which way was Dr. Monkey an inspiration to you?
So he is my adopted father. He's adopted me as his son. So we had a formal ceremony many years ago, 1992 or 94, when my father came to America. So this is a cultural tradition. And Dr. G is my mentor, and he's a father figure to me. And actually, he's adopted me as his son through my father's approval. So we had my father formally asked Dr. G to adopt me as his son in America because my father was overseas, and Dr. G took that role very to heart, and he has guided me with the highest level of integrity that anybody, he's kept his word to my father. He said, "Don't worry, Mr. Ahmed, he's my son from now on, and I will take care of him." And his objective for me was to, I was young at the time, much younger, to shape me and elevate my thinking. And the way he did that over the course of time and taught me martial arts, some of the best martial arts training I've ever gotten is from Dr. G, the physical aspect. American Bando and the Bando system is very vast and very deep and very, full of enriching history and training. But Dr. G is not just a great grandmaster in the Bando system. He is a multiple PhD. He was invited professor at Harvard University. I mean, this man is just at a different level, at a whole another level. He's not human; he's superhuman. And I'm not saying that because he's my teacher, my mentor, but that's the truth. If you meet him, you will realize what I'm talking about. So, and there are very few people out there like that. So I'm very fortunate that I have had this genius of a man, this wise monk of a man, Sayadaw, the monk mind, has taken me under his wing to guide me and teach me. So I've learned so much, and not only the physical but the thinking. And I've learned by observing him, by observation, his mannerism, and we've had conversations. I will give you an example. He was writing a book on me. It's called Panther from Pakistan. He wrote a book. He stayed 22 days in my home. And this is how our daily routine would be. He would be up at 6 a.m. with his, pipe and typing on my computer. And when I would wake up and my wife, would make him breakfast. And then all day he would be going and we'd be training. And there would be time, George, and this is no exaggeration. It'll be 2 a.m., 3 a.m., and he's teaching me, choking me, stabbing me, showing me the tiger form and all. And we're talking about history, philosophy. And I would say, "Doc, it's 2 a.m., it's 3 a.m., we need to, go to sleep." He said, "Oh, yeah, oh, really? Okay." I said, "Doc, go to sleep," and put him to bed like a child. And then he would be up at 7 a.m. and I'm dragging. So it was an experience living with a legend. I mean, I learned the true definition of dedication and work ethics just by being around him. Not let alone the physical technique, but that's why he's a genius. Multiple PhDs, linguistic, he's military decorated veteran, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, so I'm sorry I got off the tangent because when I talk about PhD, I just get totally excited because he's we need mentors in our life. And I'm so fortunate that him and other people mentored me. So one way of elevating yourself is find the right mentor. And mentorship is so important. And let the mentor mentor you. Those are the lucky ones who get mentors in their life, and they let them guide them and grow their thinking first before they grow their physical anything. And a mentor is not a person who is not a feel-good coach. Hey, good job. A mentor tells you the way it is. Good, bad, he or she will let you know, their opinion. Then it's up to you. They don't influence you in doing something. They just educate you and guide you. So I hope that helps also. I forgot the question.
No, that was great. I guess one or two more questions for you. And I think for anyone listening, they can feel your passion, the wisdom, and everything coming through, and definitely worth picking up the book. I do have one more question about the book, because, other than yourself sharing all this great wisdom, you've got so many people that have contributed as well. I'm probably not going to name all the names, but yep, we've got Grandmaster Bill Superfoot Wallace, Grandmaster Ridvan Manav, one of my actually long-standing clients. I speak to Arkan quite often. Kyoshi Fred De Palma. We got Buzz Durkin, Hanshi Dave Kovar. A lot of knowledge packed in this book from a lot of super talented martial artists. And we were discussing earlier, and you mentioned you had to interview all these people. And I don't know if this is even possible to answer, but with so much diverse knowledge being shared with you, was there one or two things that really stood out that was a universal philosophy of a great master instructor?
The great thing was that everybody had their own unique approach. And there were some people who just did one-liners. And some people wrote, like Bill Clark wrote a whole, some chapters in there. So one thing was that everybody had their own essence. What this book has is the essence of their personal idea of what a master instructor should be or is. So they just extracted their essence and put it in this book. One thing was that what I took away, that open to learning. A master instructor, which is universal, is open to learning. Next point, I think I'll go to 3 points which stands out, that they are learners, open-minded to learn and grow. Second, they are in service for their students. They have evolved beyond themselves. They are not pursuing it for prize, profit, or fame. They are doing this because it is them. They have become the essence. They've evolved beyond the prize, the money, the fame. Now it's part of the DNA. So they teach out of love of teaching, not out of need of teaching. And the third thing which stands out is they are all on a path of transformation, transforming their students to a high level of human being. To them, martial arts is more than kick and punch. To them, martial arts is truly empowerment and transforming a student into becoming a better human being. So these are the key essence, and how they do it is in the book, and how they see it is in the book. And I'm so grateful to all these great minds and great leaders and great legends that they contributed, because my objective was and still is to put that information, so it should not be lost. When I asked them the question, what is a master instructor to you? I wanted to put their essence in the book, so this is not lost for the upcoming generation. So this becomes a text which is standardizing our industry for master instructor. I'm already working on the next book. It's called Beyond the Master Instructor. So now I'm talking about the Grandmaster level, at the next level. So I've already completed about 12 chapters. So my goal is to publish that in 2022 probably. But now, what is after this? Because I want to leave behind a body of knowledge that continually shapes our industry. That is my contribution to our industry, which has been so wonderful to me. Martial arts has changed my life, and martial arts has given me and made me, who I am today. Of course, the teaching of my parents and my faith and my, teachers, but it's all martial arts where I'm today. The reason I'm speaking to you is because of the martial arts. And I want to help shape those other lives because I know it's given me a lot. So I want to give back to the martial arts, and I see it in a way of a book or a course or a training. So I want to leave that behind and continue for it continue to evergreen to give back. That's my contribution, which I want to leave.
Love it. Grandmaster Zulfi, thanks so much for making the time to chat with me. And for anyone listening, so the Science and Secrets of Becoming a Master Martial Arts Instructor. I even said it the American way. I even said master.
Master.
Not master.
Yeah.
All the links to where you can purchase the book is in the show notes. Master Zulfi, anything you'd like to add before we wrap up?
Well, thank you so much. I truly appreciate your time and thinking of me and helping promote the book, because I feel this will help everybody. And you don't have to be an instructor. I've got students in my academy purchasing these. They just want to learn. They just want to know what we think about. So this is not just for an instructor or master instructor. Anybody can, when they read this, if your student read this, you're already planting that seed way early. If a adult green belt reads this, you've already planted the seed. You've already building an master instructor in your school already. And elevate your instructors. It elevates all of us. So the lady who edited this book, she's a PhD, and she's a retired professor of education. She used to write manuals for instructors in college manuals. So she told me, she said, Master Zulfi, I have learned so much from this book. And she's an educator. She writes manuals. I've learned so much. She edited it. I've learned so much from this book. Why don't you write this book for teachers, not martial artists, for teachers? All you've got to do is change the master instructor to teacher, and this will be a very big addition to the academic industry. I was not thinking of it like that. And this person who's outside our industry, who did the editing, she's telling, and who I look up to, and I said, I hope this is good enough. She said, I've learned from this myself, and you can bring this body of knowledge into the academic work, and it'll help the teachers. So what a great testimony, what a great encouragement that she gave me, and it made me think in a different way now. So I highly recommend, and I'm not worried about selling it or not. I've already achieved what I wanted from this book. But whoever gets this book, first, I want you to give me your feedback, what your takeaway is, so I can improve myself and I can grow, and also learn from it. And it's not only for instructors, it's not only for master grammar, it's for everybody. Your students can read it, and when they read it, they will see the martial arts instructor at a different level. And I just wish everybody the best of luck. Hang in there, guys. Good times are on their way. When this pandemic is done, people are cooped up. They just want to get out. What a great thing we do. What a great service we provide. I guarantee you, give it time, your schools will be packed. Just hang in there. Be true to your profession. Keep bringing the best of yourself. Continue to grow yourself, and your school will be jam-packed again. Mark my words, it's about to happen. Not happen maybe in the next 6 months. The one who's relevant and who's present will reap the benefits.
Totally. And I just want to add to that for, especially for anyone listening from elsewhere, I can definitely vouch for that. One thing that we really assessed working with school owners in multiple countries is watching countries ahead of the curve, where the pandemic sort of, when things open up and come out of lockdown. And I know here in Australia, schools are booming, and we're seeing how that is trickling through. So yeah, if things aren't great now, just be ready, because it's coming. Yeah.
For several reasons. Number one, cabin fever. Number two, there's some great movies coming out. Number three, if we have been active and relevant, people appreciate and notice and support that. So your success is not what you do for them. Your success is how they see what you do. The community will support you because you've been around supporting them. And it's very important to stay present and relevant. The community will recognize you.
Love it. Great opportunity to lead.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Master Zulfi. I'll speak to you soon.
Thanks again for tuning in. Was it helpful? Did you get something of good value for your martial arts business? Then please do me a favor and let us know. Leave us a comment wherever you watched or listened to this, or just head over to iTunes and just leave us an awesome review. That way we'll know that we are on the right track, and we'll keep bringing you great shows with great interviews, sharing great strategies and tips. So if you haven't yet, now's a good time to head over to our group, martialartsmedia.group. That's the Martial Arts Media business community. I'll see you in the group, and I will see you on the next show.